What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I still love movies. Welcome to first live stream of 2023. As I said in my last conversation, I want to thank everyone who's been there supporting me last year and also at the turn of the year. Had a little I would say I had some events going on in my personal life, so that's why I'm just getting back into the live stream. But welcome to February. What we're going to do in February is just have a whole bunch of five take episodes. So we're going to start it off, and this episode of the conversation five takes, we have, among many other things, she is a professor and she is a film lover, which we'll find out tonight. I'm going to use my man Monkey's intro here. Greetings, one and all, to the show hosts at Tops and All. Thank you. And Enigma KB brings us Who Shines So Bright. So give it up for Lisa Doris tonight. Hello.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
They are wondering who you are. You're not your YouTuber that they all follow. You are not a content creator or film collector that they know. Um, we've known each other a long time without actually having this type of interaction.
Yes.
So um, go ahead, tell them who you are and how we may know each other.
So, my name's Lisa Doris, professor in the Department of African American Studies at Wayne State University in Detroit. And I am an active participant on the DVD Talk Forum. And one of the things that forum does is we have these challenges several times a year. And the one that I have been running for the last, I want to say 5 or 6 years, has been the Oscar Challenge, where from the time the nominations come out to the day the awards come out, everyone tries to watch 100 titles that have either been nominated for or won an Academy Award. And we just go online, we watch these movies, we talk about them, we trash them, which I did earlier today because I watched the movie Blonde last night, and I deeply regret it. So that is where we know each other, talking about movies on DVD Talk.
Yeah, and I looked it up and I couldn't believe. I'm like, wow, we've been doing this thing for over 10 years.
Yes.
I know personally I've also done animation in the past, but most of them has been, of course, the Academy, sci-fi, and
Yes.
what they used to call a Criterion Challenge, which they just call the Art
Art
House
House.
Challenge now.
Yep, I did
So,
the action adventure challenge as well.
hmm
I was doing the TV on DVD challenge right before the Oscar challenge began because there were some
yeah,
TV shows I wanted to watch. So yeah, we're people that spend a lot of time in front of our television sets,
yeah, for real,
which
for
is great.
real. But I thought, it's February 1st, based on your background as a professor and also being a movie lover, and we're doing the Academy Award Challenge right now. You would be the perfect guest to start over our Five Takes February. So, welcome.
Yes.
So, the way we normally do this is we start off with a non-movie question. We'll ask one or two movie questions, and then since it's the five takes, we get into the five questions that we ask at the end of every conversation. As you see, building up in the chat, we have some people joining us, so I'm just going to give them a quick shout out. Then we'll get into the questions.
All right.
So we have Adrian James joining us. What's up, my man? Jerry is there. He's from New Jersey, so good guy. Holland us, yo, yo, yo. What's good? We got Michael joining us. Hey. We got my sis, Mika. Hey, everyone, she says. Mika is cool. She has a twin sister, which she calls her double, and they're both into horror movies and they have a podcast going. They're supposed to have a YouTube channel coming, but we're not going to talk about that. But good sister, good sister. We have Paul G joining us. Good evening to you.
Hey, Paul.
So, the first question I was going to ask you was, being that you're a film professor and you've written a couple different books, what have you found to be the most revealing thing that you've found while writing your books?
Oh. It depends because each of my books is about something completely different. My first book was on baseball, and I have
Hmm.
been a baseball fan since I was a kid. I grew up in Chicago. You can't really be in Chicago and not like at least one sport. Pick one, doesn't matter.
Right.
Um, and it was looking at media post strike and just the different ways that media can frame a story,
Hmm.
which doesn't necessarily have any reflection on like facts and reality sometimes. Uh, and that was interesting to me looking at the whole steroids issue. That was fun.
Yeah.
Second book was about Black film, and it was about like talking about movies that most people don't really think about when talking about Black film. Because, like, if you talk to academics about Black film, they'll usually come up with like the same 25 or 30 films that they want to talk about, those that's considered like the canon of Black films. I was like, I want to talk about other films. Like, I want to talk about Blazing Saddles. Like, why does no one talk about that movie anymore, aside from the fact that it could never get made today?
Right.
But it's still like one of the funniest and most insightful movies about racism ever made. I was like, why don't we talk about Harlem Nights? Like, just
Yeah.
bringing together all of those comedy legends and what Eddie Murphy was able to do, taking, all of his, pull in Hollywood and saying, I want to make this movie with every Black comedian that you can think of. And it's
Yeah.
like, aside from people mentioning at the time that, I think it at the time held the world's record for the number of F-bombs in a movie. I don't think it holds the record anymore.
Wolf of Wall Street took care of that.
Probably like the yes. But just wanting to look at different films. And then my last book was on a TV show called Homicide: Life on the Streets, which
Hmm.
most people, it's not available for streaming anywhere. So it's like if you weren't like alive in like the 90s and watched that show,
Yeah.
most people have never heard of it, even though David Simon, who wrote the book it was based on, went on to create The Wire, which most
Hmm.
people know. And it's like, oh, you need to like go like find the
Watch
bootlegs of
Homicide.
Homicide, because you really do see the beginnings of his thought process.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure. Mika says that Harlem Nights is such a great film.
it is.
I'm
It's
so
underrated.
glad. Yeah, I'm so glad that they released that and Boomerang on Blu-ray last year because, and this is something I have going, is that especially with as the physical collecting community starts to skew younger, unless something is released on Blu-ray, 4K, whatever, a lot of people end up not knowing about certain films or certain actors.
Oh yeah.
And the one that I always bring up is Wesley Snipes. For a moment, he was the number one actor. He
Oh
was a
yeah.
box office draw. And I'm not just talking about White Men Can't Jump and Blade and everything, but Passenger 57 and New Jack City and things like that. So if
Major
they
League is
don't,
is my favorite baseball movie, and he is hilarious.
yeah,
Like, people forget that he was funny.
yeah,
He took the action hero role route, but
yeah.
yeah, he's hilarious.
But if you don't bring these movies out, you have an entire generation that don't know about these movies or these actors.
Yeah.
So it's a
Did you
shame.
know that they're doing a stage play of New Jack City right now? Like, it just started. Like, yes, I
Really?
did not know about this either. But yes, they're doing a stage play for New Jack City. I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
It was not. It is not.
They have a term when you take a stage play and make it into a movie called opening up a movie. But I would imagine you'd have to like close it down a little bit because it takes place in multiple locations and
I
there's so
have
much
no
activity.
idea how this is being done. I think it's going to
Yeah,
come to Detroit. I think it's in Texas right now. But it's
yeah,
like I'm a little afraid. Like, do I want to see it?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. So,
I'm not sure, but it could
eh,
be interesting. It could be an absolute disaster.
yeah, that needs an upgrade because I love that movie. That's like a hood classic for me
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. So, the movie question I was going to get to is the term from body and soul to Black Panther. I love that because it encompasses kind of like what I'm talking about. Everybody knows Black Panther and now with Wakanda Forever and all that, but a lot of people don't know about body and soul.
Oh,
quickly tell us what Body and Soul is about.
Oscar Michelle film, and it is the very first film for Paul Robeson. And actually, if you are a Criterion fan, this movie is included in the Paul Robeson box set. Paul Robeson plays technically two twins, even though it's not quite clear in the movie that they know of each other. So
Iffy.
it's iffy. And actually, you can tell when watching that some of the frames from this film are clearly missing. I mean, it's as complete as Criterion can do, but it's clear that there's parts of the movie missing. And it is really about this preacher who is taking advantage of his entire parish. And this woman's daughter he steals all of this woman's money, that blames the daughter. She runs away, and there's a whole dream sequence. It is a lot going on, but one of the earliest Black films that is available. And Oscar Micheaux was this brilliant independent filmmaker who wrote the scripts, made the movies, had to carry them around from Black theater to Black theater, doing his own publicity, used that money to finance his next film, lather, rinse, repeat, for his entire career.
Yeah, and it's amazing. We're talking about something, if I'm correct, 1925?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And there is some direct connection between a movie from that time and a current movie today. And the things that they had to do, we can't even imagine today. Like you said, having to carry the film, like the film reels,
Yes.
literally from theater to theater. Today we have road shows like what Tarantino did for Hateful Eight, but it's not the same.
It's not
thing.
the same.
Oh man. So this is a short one, but I know we're going to spend some time with these. So are you ready to do the 5 takes?
Let's go.
All right, I like that attitude. So number 1, name the film that made you fall in love with the movie.
So I've been thinking about this for the last couple days, and I am from that generation of latchkey kids. And
Me
so
too.
it's like I would come home and I would read books, do homework, and then just watch TV. So I was trying to remember what my first love of films would have been, like what would have been on television. And I know it wasn't the original Star Wars because I was entirely too young for that. But I wonder, was it The Empire Strikes Back? Like when that came out on TV, and I was just completely blown away by the time I was old enough to go, wow, that's amazing. And probably not even understanding the whole Luke, I'm your father thing, but still understanding like that's like a big deal. I was like, I don't get it, yes, I do now. But it's like, yeah, that was, I think, probably the early one where I'm like, yeah, movies are cool.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's still one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yes.
A similar story, and I've told this before, so I'll make it quick. Thanksgiving night, my son is the oldest. He's like 4 or 5, and went to take some people to the train station, came back, and my wife says, look at what your son is watching. And it's episode 1. And he's sitting there, and you can see it's like all over his face. He's just mesmerized. And I sat next to him, and I was like, hey, buddy, do you like this? He's like, yeah.
Like, just wait till you get
to episode 4. You want to see more? Next day, he saw the Holy Trilogy. I had to put that in his life.
Yes.
We had some people that came in after we got started. What's up, Killer? This is one of our content creators. Her name is Mel, My Killer Podcast. She's a final girl, a horror fan. Hey, look who came home. Hello. That's my daughter.
Hey.
Adrian saying hello to everyone. Michael says, I met Billy D. Williams. He signed my cover of Vampire Strikes Back.
You've got everything signed, because earlier up, you got Mel Brooks to sign the DVD of Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein.
Yeah. he has a good collection of signatures and
nice
autographs. Steven Wilson, Star Wars was and still iconic masterpiece that somehow started with episode 3.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Yes, it was.
Uh,
Boom, boom, boom. People saying hi. We go on to number two. This is a softball one, before we get to the good one. Number two, name five of your favorite, not the five, but five of your
all
favorite
right.
films.
I went through my collection. I was sitting there going, all right, what films can I pull out where I will not, be embarrassed or
Oh,
embarrass
stop.
you? Like, why did he invite her? So these are in alphabetical order, but number
Okay.
one is
Okay.
Casablanca, one
Uh-huh.
of my all-time favorite films. And even though one of the things I'm trying to do in the Oscar challenge this year is no Nazis, which is way more difficult to do than you would think. So I can't
For
actually
real.
watch Casablanca for the Oscar challenge. But I
Woo.
recently upgraded my system to 4K, and the
Nice.
minute this came out, I grabbed it. It is romantic, it is tragic, it is hilarious. Claude Rains is just one of my favorite actors and
Yeah.
has so many memorable lines. I just love it.
Great.
So next on the list is a movie I wish wasn't still so relevant, but it's a brilliant movie in my opinion. Is
One of
Spike Lee's
mine.
Do the Right Thing.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, this movie unfortunately never gets old. I kind of
Yeah.
wish it did. And when I show it in class, you can always tell who hasn't seen the movie before because the first 2/3 of the movie is drastically different from the last third of the movie. The
Oh
first two
yeah.
thirds of the movie are very funny and laid back, and you can see the students and the audience are like, "Oh, this is cool, this is cool." And then once we get back into Sal's and the shouting and the baseball bats come out, you can tell by the look on their faces, like, okay, this movie took a left turn and we have no
Mm-hmm.
idea where this is going to go.
Yeah.
And I love that about the film, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
really difficult to watch. But hey,
Yeah.
it's beautiful in 4K.
Two
And
things. Two things before you continue. One, we didn't mention that you also have film classes. It's not just African American studies, but you also conduct
yeah,
film classes as
yes,
well.
I teach a class
And
of African American film, so that one there's always a Spike Lee movie.
yeah,
I switch them up,
yeah,
but it's usually that one these days.
yeah. And the other thing is, like I said, that's among my favorite. And there's something about that moment when it gets real, but when you rewatch it, you kind of see like how it's building throughout the whole movie. It's
Yes.
just it's layered, so you don't really see it because it's layered underneath the comedy. So
Yeah, because
anyway,
one of the things, there are a couple commentary tracks on this movie. Like the Criterion Edition has one commentary track, the 4K has a different. We'll just have to hold on to both of them. And Spike
hmm
Lee talks about the arguments he was having with Danny Aiello during the filming, where Danny Aiello didn't read Sal as racist, and
mm,
Spike Lee did. And it's a film is a director's medium, so it's pretty clear in how, particularly that scene is staged, that Spike Lee is telling us that Sal is racist because the way the
right,
camera angles are working. And then I asked my students, like, "Oh, what do you think Sal's racist?" And they're all like, "Well, yeah, it was obvious from the first scene." And it was like, so they get
wow,
it. And so maybe that's just the nature of how our discussions about racism have changed since 1989.
hmm
I remember as a kid, like, there were people who would argue till they turned blue that no, Sal wasn't racist. I'm like, well, according to the film, he kind of was. Like that N
right,
word flew out of his mouth real quick. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, it was. Yes, Malcolm X
Sorry
is
for
also
interrupting you.
one of my
Continue.
favorites. I can't wait to watch that in 4K. I have it. It's going to be part of the Oscar challenge.
I hear you.
So next up, I'm cheating a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
Ah, yes. One and two,
so
or all three together?
I have a tradition as part of the Oscar challenge. So while everyone else in the country is watching the Super Bowl, I always watch the Godfather trilogy instead. I don't like football.
Okay,
And so I
interesting.
sit down on Super Bowl Sunday with my chips and my dip, and I spend that day with the Corleone family. I actually
Nice.
like all three. I know the third one has some issues,
hmm
but I do like all three of the movies. And it's hard to pick just one. I mean, 1 and 2 are classics, like no doubt. Right. You're taking those if you're stranded on a desert island. But I think the third one still has some merit.
I hear you. I hear you. Yes. Nice. So, continue.
All right. Next up.
Yes.
Gotta have Jaws. Gotta have Spielberg represented in there. And even though I am not a horror movie person because I'm a scaredy cat, even though I think most of the physical media YouTubers are all horror movie fans. And so it's like, it's like, oh, you have all these horror movie titles. It's like, and I don't have like any of them but this is one that doesn't, it scared me as a kid. I did not go into the ocean, but I'm a little better watching it over and over again that I can make it through. And last but not least, this is going to be weird because of how they packaged it, but Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, because I am a huge Trekkie. And Ricardo Montalban chewing scenery for 2 hours. And the fact that you have your antagonist and your protagonist never have any scenes together.
Exactly.
And it's just like, that is awesome. And it just makes even more sense, like when you watch Space Seed and you realize that Khan got legit beef with Kirk, like he's not out there being mad for no reason. That is just like, even though he is homicidal maniac, but he had legit beef. And so it is a brilliant movie, huge Trekkie. We're going to ignore a lot of what they did with the Kelvin universe films.
I have to say there's only a few movies that I remember everything, like core memory of what took place the day I saw it, and Wrath of Khan is one of them. I remember everything about that day.
I still get teary-eyed every time we get to the scene. And it's like,
I know.
You know he's coming back, but it's like it's not the point.
Yeah. Let's see what's going on in the comments here. What's up in the chat? So there you go. Michael has over 100 covers autographed. Let's see. Emmett, I would love to answer your question, but we're trying to get through these 5 takes, man. I feel you, but this is not the Anaconda time.
I don't think I've the first one, just to answer that question, because scared cat.
Barry the Tick, welcome. Empire's favorite of the trilogy, mine too.
Yeah.
Let's see, episode 4. I swear my head went to the test. That was a soft correction. That's what I'll tell you. Mika says, "Do the right thing." So good, yes, and still very relevant today. Yes. Scorsese taught Spike Lee filmmaking at NYU.
Yep,
and then
Spike Lee
he
taught
became
other folks as well. Reese, and co-produced Pariah, and as well as Love and Basketball. Spike Lee's out there, particularly helping Black women filmmakers get things made, and which is good because he has not always done right by the Black women in his films.
That is true. That is very true.
But he's out here doing the work in the real world, so it's like, okay.
You mentioned Love and Basketball. I'm glad to see Gina getting some shine right now for what she's doing with Woman King, and I wish she got nominated. But,
I did too. I'm a little heated about some of the snubs this year, but
we're not going to go there.
That's a different show.
That's another show. I might invite you back on. I'm going to have like a nominee wrap up thing, so we'll see. Let's see. I like Do the Right Thing, but don't love it. Okay. Favorites are Malcolm X and Clockers. Solid films. Malcolm X is great. I'm crazy for calling Demolition Man one of my all-time favorites. No,
Demolition Man is awesome.
I watched that. I watched it again early last year. Our buddy Ken from Mid-Level Media had a Stallone month, and I had to bring out Demolition Man. I was like, I don't care if I just have this on DVD. We're gonna watch it just to see how much fun.
Decent soundtrack.
How much fun that Wesley Snipes had making that movie. He had too much fun.
Definitely.
Too much fun. Yes, Criterion, beautiful release of Malcolm X.
And not wait to watch it.
Indeed, it's so good. Jordo, what's up, man? Evening. Good evening. Let's see. Holland Oates in the house. Let's see. Um, I do love the Godfather trilogy. Isn't my favorite crime movie, but I don't love every part. Okay. I do have to give Godfather 3 another chance. So at first day, yeah, I remember it came out on Christmas Day. I remember that. The thing about Godfather 3 to me, not the Coda edition, just the regular original one, is that it's inevitable. You're going to compare it with the first two because
Yes.
they're so classic. And it's not a bad movie. It's just not that.
Yeah.
It's not one, it's not two.
Yeah. And I think like one of the reasons why I think it works, and this isn't how I think Coppola intended for the trilogy to be read, but it's, how I look at it. If you look at all three films as kind of a history of immigration in the United States, because you have, Vito's generation who immigrate over, and particularly at that time for folks of Italian descent, were not considered white in the United States. So it's this
Right.
desperate, trying to get to the American dream to make sure that things are better for your children. And you have Michael's generation who have been fully Americanized. And they're, even though they're still facing some discrimination, because we get that scene with the senator at the party calling, basically shaking him down. Doesn't end well for him. Don't do that. But it's like they're fully Americanized. But then you get to, Andy Garcia's character in Third Generation. They're like, the American dream is not a thing. Like, this country
Right.
is not living up to the promise. I'm going back to my roots, and
Right.
you're not going to tell me that I can't do that. And so when you think about just that trajectory of immigration, I was like, I think the third film works. It falls apart with the whole thing with the Catholic Church, but it's like,
The benediction and all that.
yeah.
Adrian loves Wrath of Khan. Purple Lord Leo Anasi. That's new. Not sure. I'm ready to go back. Did buy a 4K box. Maybe we'll watch the redo. Damn, I came into some Spike, some Spielberg, some Coppola, speaking my language. Yeah, we're bringing out the classics tonight, man, for real. Yeah, and Gina Viola, a lot of people got snubbed.
Ooh, girlfriend from Till. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm looking
Like
at
I said,
Sideways Academy.
yeah. Mika agrees. Can't believe The Woman King was not nominated. Good movie. You don't think the controversial subject played a role? It could have, but it wouldn't be the first one.
Yeah, that's true.
There's been controversial roles throughout the 100+ years of cinema. So, let's see. Woman King is like a movie like Gladiator or Braveheart. How the heck did they skip over the Woman King? Politics. Brother Dell in the house. What's up, my man? He had a good movie swap episode yesterday with Martinez Joe. That was fun to watch.
Cool.
Excuse me, I have to do this the right way. Gus. Good guy there. Hello, chatty people. Till. Till is the movie about
Maybe Till.
Emmett Till, and it's told from the perspective of his mother and what she went through.
Yep. And the actress who played her did a phenomenal job. Just like not only just irradiating pain, because clearly, having your child lynched in that fashion. I mean, she played the pain, but also playing the strength, like something good has to come of this. And unfortunately, we've seen that over and over again with a lot of parents today. But it's like her being one of the early examples and having the forethought to say, I'm going to show pictures of what they did to my boy. I want everyone to see that. And if you talk to anyone who was alive at that time, particularly Black folks who are alive at the time, they remember that magazine cover and how that made them feel. And you feel that in the movie.
Yeah, it was like JFK assassination. Emmett Till on the cover of what magazine had it?
I think it was. I think Jet had the.
I want to say Jet magazine. Yeah.
It's a hard movie to watch, but she nailed it.
All right. I'm going to get to this question because I know she's been waiting to answer this one. Number three, a classic movie that everybody loves, but you can't stand.
All right.
Here
Saying
we
before
go.
the
Hold
show,
on.
it's like, I wanted to go with a movie that hadn't been mentioned. And I know that KB and I are of like minds, and we are not here for Gone with the Wind. And one of his previous guests had mentioned Lawrence of Arabia, and I am with them on the whole sand and walking. Technically beautiful, acting good, can't get through it. So I wanted to, definitely go with something different that would get me all the hate mail. So there are two genres of film that just are not my forte: horror and musicals. And one musical that I just cannot get behind is The Wizard of Oz. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Everyone loves this movie, and I just don't. I mean, from a technical standpoint, I get it. Like, definitely teach that in an intro to film class, but it's just like.
Okay. My wife isn't here, so you're not going to get any feedback from her, but that's an all-time favorite.
So
it's like she has a Pez dispenser in the closet, so I see it like anytime I go in there to change my clothes or whatever. So she got love for it.
There are some musicals that I do like. Like, I love the original West Side Story. I actually don't mind the remake. The male lead fell flat for me. Like, there was no chemistry there. But Singing in the Rain is one that I actually do like.
Okay, because that's where we would have gotten in trouble.
The Moses scene is like, I have that clip on my phone. Like, I actually like that dance number better than the actual Singing in the Rain scene. And Blues Brothers is one of the best movies ever made, and one of the best soundtracks. But it's like the rest of them, I'm like, I'm good.
Okay.
I do actually like The Wiz better. It has better music.
So you saw the question from
I saw the question.
Like,
yes.
Do you like The Wiz? Yes.
It's not a perfect movie, but
no. No Yellow Brick Road for you.
No Yellow Brick Road for me.
I'm with Jordan here. I thought you were going to say Sing in the Rain.
I
my
like
favorite musical.
So, and I will say, because I teach a class on African American culture, and last week I showed them the Nicholas Brothers scene from Stormy Weather, and I was just like, if anyone tells you that this isn't the best dance scene ever put on film, back away from that person, because they're clearly unwell. So if you have never seen the Nicholas Brothers in Stormy Weather, Google it. It is literally the best dance scene ever put to film. No one is getting near it ever.
You're already on YouTube. Once we're done here, Nicholas Brothers Staircase, or just put in the greatest dance scene ever.
And it will literally pop up.
That will pop up. So let's see. Timeless classic. Love The Wiz. Stephen Wilson in the house. I can't stand musicals. I went to see Aladdin, and when Will Smith started singing, I walked out.
I like both Aladdins.
Wow. Keep it real.
I don't actually, for some reason, I think Disney movies get a pass, because I don't think, particularly about the animated movies, I don't think of them as musicals, even though they clearly are. Something about animation just makes it better. I like Rocky Horror Picture Show through Sweet Transvestite. After that, the movie starts lagging, but I will do the time warp with the best of them.
I've never seen it. I know. I've never seen it.
If you can see it with a live audience, I recommend that.
That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for. I'll go to a midnight movie and see it.
Yes.
Women of the Movement.
I did see that, and it was pretty good.
Okay. Gus says, I like The Wiz because I love MJ and Diana Ross so much. Yes. Del says Nicholas Brothers scene is literally insane.
It is.
Great call. It is.
I told my students, I do not try this at home. No matter how flexible you think you are, you will harm yourself. Don't do it. They were
You're not Savion Glover or anybody else like that.
And I don't even think he was gonna try that. No.
All right, let's flip that last question and go to number 4. Name a critically hated movie that you love.
All right, I had to I was on Rotten Tomatoes trying to figure out which movie in my collection had the
Uh-huh.
lowest score, and
All
it
right.
was this.
All right. I got to bring you back full screen here.
The
The
first,
first one?
yes.
Really?
I will admit that the second one is a better film, but I
Okay.
actually enjoy the first one better.
Okay.
And part of it is Viola Davis is awesome. And I
Yeah.
love her as Amanda Waller. And I
Yeah.
thought she was such a badass in the first movie that I'm willing to forgive a multitude of sins. And that movie has many, many sins.
Quite a
Um,
few.
quite a few. Um, I actually liked Will Smith in it. I, like Margot Robbie in the first one.
Mhm.
Jared Leto was a hot mess. I actually think if they had deleted him out of the movie, it would have been so much
Pretty
better.
much.
He
Pretty
didn't need to
much.
be in the movie. The movie wasn't about him.
Yeah.
Uh, but yes,
Um,
second movie, I admit, is better. I just don't enjoy it as much. It's not.
I,
It's not as much fun.
yeah. I don't know. Did you catch any of the DC announcements yesterday? They are making a series, or it might be a movie. I never caught the difference between the two, but they're making something based around Amanda Waller. So I hope it's a TV show because I think it'll be great. Like if they
Yeah.
make it like how HBO did Peacemaker, I think that will be outstanding.
Yes, that would be great. I am here for that. They need to
All
do
right.
something about Ezra Miller, but that's another discussion.
Talk about hot messes.
We were talking beforehand
Woo.
about separating art from artists. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can go
Nope.
see The Flash. There's
But
just too much
they're
going
saying
on
they're
with
saying
him.
it's a great movie. So I
Ooh.
don't know. Viola Davis is amazing. She is,
Mhm.
and she really brought some solid resolve to that character in all the
Yes.
movies.
Mhm.
Um, prefer Birds of Prey over both Suicide. You might be alone on that one. I don't know. Uh,
I mean, I really like Birds of Prey. I thought it,
yeah.
and I know what they were going for with it, and I appreciate that movie. I actually don't own it. I should probably buy
Huh?
that. Get on
Next sale.
that. I know.
There's that scene towards the end of Suicide Squad where they're all at the bar talking. I really wish the whole movie would have been more like that, kind of back and forth. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Adrian says, seen the first Suicide Squad at cinema, haven't seen the second one. I'd
It's
say
a
go watch
very
the
different
second one.
movie. It's a very
Yeah,
different movie. And,
especially if
and I
you could
love
get it
me some
on
Idris Elba.
4K. Yeah, yeah. If you could get it on 4K, the second one, highly recommend. I like the first Suicide Squad, but the second one, that beach scene though,
Beast
fire. Yeah.
was good.
Think there's no legit reason to hate Suicide Squad scene. Yeah.
I mean, it's a it's a typical comic book movie. Like, it's like, yeah, I mean, are there better comic book movies? Oh, goodness, yes. Are there worse?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Yeah. Jordan caught that. I was like, the first one?
Yeah, I think it has like 22% on Rotten Tomatoes because I thought for sure
Woo.
like Godfather 3 would have been like low on there. And then I remember I was like, that was nominated for Best Picture. Like
Yeah.
it had like a
Critics loved it.
78% rating. And I was like,
Yeah. If they had Rotten Tomatoes back then, there would be like critic score in the 80s and the
yeah,
audience score in like the 30s.
yeah,
All right. Did you have fun with this?
I did.
See, I told you it was going to be, nice and relaxing and fun. After this, I got to go watch an Oscar movie tonight. Got to get on my challenge. So we end with number 5. Now that you've been through it, who do you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel?
All right. So, as I mentioned, like I just made the transition to 4K. So, I like subscribe to a bunch of physical media YouTubers because I can't
Mhm.
afford to buy all of these. I'm a teacher, I got student loans. uh,
Right, right.
and so, one of the folks that I follow is 20th and 21st Movies. He does a lot of Criterion stuff, and actually, he just got a new 4K TV. I saw that video day before yesterday, and so I think you guys would have a great conversation. I also follow film. Oh, you did? I didn't scroll far enough. And I was also going to say films at home, but his wife just had a new baby, so I don't think he's going to be talking to anybody for a while.
Yeah.
So.
I have to say, when I started this series and I was trying to think of like people that, Del just said it. He was like, James. Yeah. We love James. Mika's been on with James and her double. He's a major part of the community here. So, but with Jeff, he was like one of the first people I wrote down. Like, I would love to have conversation with him, and that's when he was building up to 100,000. Now he's surpassed that. But I've been following him since 10, since he was trying to reach 10. So it's been a minute. I should have started this channel about 18 months prior, but I was just like overthinking it and not perfect and don't have perfect lights and blah blah blah. Now I could tell you there is no such thing as perfection. You just got to hit record, as they say on Think Media.
There you go.
That's what we do.
See, I was scrolling down and didn't go far enough.
Yeah. I had a good time with James. So I'll send you that link after we're done here. But in the meantime, I would love to thank you for coming on. It's been, of course. It's been fun to spend this time with you instead of like foreign posts back and forth. Or,
when I'm throwing movies under the bus and trying to like, does anyone see this movie? Are we sure there are no Nazis in it? Because I have been I got blindsided last year, the year before last, with A Night at the Garden, the short, when it was nominated. And for the Oscar challenge, if it's nominated or it's won, I will just watch it. I will not read a description of it on IMDb. I'm just like, I just watch it. Little did I know that entire short is literally a Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden. I was like, damn.
Did you, not Nazi related, but did you watch To Leslie?
I haven't, no.
Yeah. She had some controversy about the way she self-promoted that movie and got a nomination.
I did see that, and considering the discussion about Viola Davis and the woman, still, I'm just like, okay.
All I have to say to that is Harvey Weinstein's Shakespeare in Love.
Oh God, I am not a fan of that movie.
No one is, and
we
yet
can
it
have
got
a whole
Best Picture.
Discussion about snubs, like going back up to someone mentioned Malcolm X. Like, why did Denzel Washington win for Training Day and not Malcolm X? Because they had snubbed Al Pacino for all those years for Godfather, Godfather 2, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, and he wins for Scent of a Woman. It's like, that's not even in his top 5.
Yeah. I do have one last question, because we were discussing this before. What Scorsese movie were you going to bring up?
I don't actually like any of his films.
That's fine. I thought you were going to like rail on a certain one.
No. It occurred to me last year as I was watching Power of the Dog, actually, because I could not put my finger on what it was about Scorsese's films that didn't speak to me. And I was like, because they're all about empathizing with these toxic men. And it's just like, at some point, we have to stop that, because in real life, we're doing the same damn thing. And I'm like looking at all these movies like, yes, it's all of these horrible men, and we watch these movies and we feel for them and we empathize with them, and it's like, that's sending the wrong message. Like, we shouldn't be empathizing with De Niro's character in Taxi. Like, no, he's bad, he gotta go. And I had the same feeling watching Power of the Dog. Again, didn't read the descriptions, didn't know what it's about, love Jane Campion, and I'm watching that movie like, I need for him to die at the end of this movie.
And funny thing enough is that most
spoiler alert, sorry.
Most people would say it's like the anti-hero. Like, you look at like Taxi Driver, anti-hero, Raging Bull, anti-hero, but
it's like that opens the door for us to let people women get away with some stuff too. People in the real world, we become conditioned to let bad people get away with doing bad things because we see it over and over on the screen, and we're like, well, we like those characters, and it's like, but we're not supposed to. And the movies don't always cue us that we're not supposed to like these characters. So his
so you got in the score Jeep.
I did. I know. I'm gonna get all the hate mail. And again, love him as a person, even though he needs to probably be quiet about Marvel, like not your lane.
Agreed.
But again, like what he does with film preservation, I am here for him as a human being. I'm not, putting him in, throwing him under the bus. Just it's like, make me a movie where the characters aren't terrible. It's like, please. Pretty please.
Go watch Hugo again. That's all I could say about that.
And I saw that when it first came out, and I haven't seen it since. So he might.
It holds up.
It holds up. All right, I'm gonna trust you. Right. I might go back.
Let's go through the chat one more time, and then we'll bring this to a close. James is awesome. Yes, James 20th and 21st. If so, we love James. James gets all the love.
Yes. It's the Georgia Bulldogs, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. And he's proud to tell you.
He is.
I was actually chatting with him while that not the national championship game, but the one before it, because it literally went to midnight as that happened. So that was like poetic. Birds of Prey is underrated. James is one of the nicest guys on YouTube. Yeah. Basement Blues is another one if you want to follow Tony. Okay. Another Georgia guy, also very nice. His
I feel bad for not being in this college sports. Like I put all my energy in the pros because like they make money. They can handle any criticism.
Yeah, that's right. Holland Oates is on his Scorsese journey now. At the end, you have to see if you agree with her or not.
I will say, like, the one movie that I don't really dislike, Age of Innocence.
Classic.
They're a little less toxic.
Yeah. Denzel should have won for Malcolm X. Don't like any Scorsese films. There it is. Denzel should have won for Malcolm X. What about Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore? Not a lot of people seen that.
Yeah, but, I know I've seen it, but it has been forever that I've probably pushed out of my mind. I might have to go back and watch it. But
and the show Alice, which is what it's adopted from.
Yeah.
Scorsese PG movies. You saw that before. For fair points about Scorsese's work, though. Yes. Still talking about Denzel has a plethora of films that could have won for Oscar. Yeah, it's true. Him and also Halle for Monster Ball. Those roles is what earned Oscars.
I know, and it's like, really? That was the film? And no Black woman has won for Best Actress since. It's like,
and won't this year. Denzel working Malcolm X's. People, if we've learned anything tonight, go get Malcolm X on Criterion 4K if you don't have it. Oh yeah, Silence. That's a hard watch, but it's good. Different from the Bad Men stuff.
Was it nominated or won any Oscars, or do I need to wait till after that?
I think you have to wait. I don't think Silence was nominated. All right. So thank you everyone who was hanging out in the chat as always. Thank you once again to you, Lisa. I really appreciate you coming on and getting 5 Takes February started in a great way. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for coming out.
Yes. And as I always say, go watch a movie.
I'm gonna.